Today we are going to talk about zero remainder array from Codeforces round 653 div 3. You can pause the video and read the question. So I'll quickly explain the question and a sample test case. If you think you have understood it properly, you can skip the video by a few seconds. So we are given an array A and we have to make all elements of A a multiple of an integer k. We can do that using these two operations given to us. We are given an integer x and these two operations. First operation is we can increment an element of the array by some number x, and second is we can just increase x by 1. We are required to find the minimum number of moves required to obtain such an array. So even the first sample test case is explained pretty well. The value of x starts from 0, then we just increase it, then we add it to the second element and increment x, and so on. And finally, when x is equal to 6, we have the array 6336, which is divisible by k is equal to 3. So the minimum moves required are 6. Now I will discuss the solution. So if you want to try it once, you can give it a try. So I will take the second test case because it will help us to build the logic. In the second test case, n is 10, k is 6, and the elements of the array are as shown. Let us represent the elements of the array by corresponding heights. The question says that each element of the array must be a multiple of k. So let's just mark multiples of 6 on this height scale. So in the end, all of the bars must touch one of the horizontal line of the multiple of 6. If you try to think of a greedy strategy, then you might realize that we must raise the height of each bar to its next higher multiple of 6. And if it is already touching a multiple of 6, then you need not do anything. Let us calculate another array x, which represents the amount to add to ai to increase its height to touch a multiple of 6. I will discuss in some time how exactly we will do that, but for now, let's just assume we know how to do it. Our array x will look something like this. Now in the x array, take a look at index 7, which has the element 1. So what we can do is, when our x has the value 1, we can apply the first operation so that the element gets incremented and touches 6. So first the element at index 7 was 5, and then when x is equal to 1, we apply the first operation, it gets incremented to 6. Similarly, when x is equal to 2, we will choose the 8th index of the array and increment it by 2 using the first operation. So 10 will get incremented to 12 and the bar will touch 12, which is a multiple of 6. So it seems our job is getting done. Intuitively, it seems that if you get the highest element from the array x, then you would need the value of x to be that highest element. But there is one more catch in the problem. The problem states that in one move, you can only choose a single index from the array and increase its value by x. Now let us consider what will happen when we want to increase the value by 5. That is when x is 5. There are actually multiple indices with the value to be increased as 5. That is, when x is 5, you won't be able to choose all three indices to increase their value. So when x is 5, you will only be able to choose index 2. For index 3, you will have to make the bar touch at the next multiple of 6, that is at 12. For that, you will need x to be 11, at least 11. And for index 6, which has the value 7, you will have to make the bar touch the next to next multiple of 6, that is 24, because you already used up an increment of a multiple of 6. So if you make it touch to 18, then you will have to increase by 11, but you just increased by 11 for the previous index. So to touch 24, x will have to be 17. So the bar will touch 24, which is outside this grid. If you try a similar logic on other indices which have the same element, you will find that 17 is the highest element in the X array. This suggests that we must keep a count of all elements in the X array. For example, count of 5 will be 3 because initially we had 3 indexes which had the value 5. Now let's take a look at how we got the element 17. We had 3 indexes with the value 5. For 17, we increased 5 by 12, that is 2 into 6, because the smaller increments had already been used up. So if you try to generalize, you will realize that first you need to store the count of all elements, and second, the highest increment that a particular value will get will be that value plus its frequency minus 1 into k. So for example here the value was 5, its frequency was 3, so the highest increment that it got was 5 plus 3 minus 1 into 6, that is 17. And our final answer will be the maximum over all such increments. Now let us discuss the code. In lines 1 to 6, we just take the input from the user, whatever is required. Then there is a map M which will store the frequencies of elements in the X array. Then we have the X array, and now we loop from 1 to n, that is for all elements in A. Now we need to calculate x of I. How to do that? Recall that x of I was the amount to be added to A of I to make it a multiple of k. First of all, we need the multiple of k which is just greater than A of I. We can represent any multiple of k as c into k, where c is some scalar, and c into k must be greater than or equal to A of I. So c must be the ceil of ai divided by k. Hence the amount to add will be the next greater multiple, which is c into k minus A of I. If the amount to add is 0, then we need to do nothing, else we need to increment the frequency of x of I in the frequency map. After that, we initialize answer with 0 and iterate through all pairs in the frequency map and calculate the maximum increment needed for a particular value in the map. Our answer will be the maximum over all such values needed, because x will have to be as much as the greatest value to be incremented. Finally, observe in the question that we are asked the number of moves. So, since x starts from 0, the number of moves required will be 1 more than the maximum value, unless no increments are required, like in the third test case. So if answer is not equal to 0, we increment it by 1, because number of moves will be 1 greater as x starts from 0. Otherwise answer will be just 0, like in the third case. Finally, let's see our algorithm in action for the second test case. So this is our array A and X as explained before, and on the right side is our frequency map, and we'll also track the answer variable. Just try to observe how the array X is calculated and counts in the map are incremented. So we are done with building our X array and the frequency map. Now we'll use the formula mentioned in the code to track our answer variable. Yeah, so 18 is our answer for the second test case. So that's it for this video. If you have any doubts, you can ask in the comments. I would also appreciate your feedback whether I should also make more videos like these for other problems. Yeah, so thank you for watching.